I just don't. I'm kind of this way. If anybody is really strongly in belief of one thing, I try to find a way to argue against them. And so that's how I am when it comes to like any food where people are like it's the most authentic. Like I'm helping out Danny's Steaks, who opened up down here, and he had a crushing opening week, second week. They're still busy, but let's just say that they were doing. It was similar to when Tangy opened. I mean, they were that busy. It was nuts. And he was just getting all these idiots that were like, I went to Philly once. This is nothing like it, Or I used to live in New Jersey, and, they had Philly-style cheesesteaks, and this isn't anything like that. Just, dumb people. It's like, dude, So whenever somebody is claiming that it's like they're the most authentic version of something or they're a copy, I'm just like, no, there's no fucking way. So it was fun to fly to Chicago for a day and try all those pizzas and see what deep dish pizza, and we had we had Geno's, we had Pequod's, which is like that cheese on the edge, like a Detroit style, and then we went to Peace, and that's like New Haven style pizza, and that was really good. But yeah, man, none of the locals said that they ate deep dish, like real deep dish pizza. All of them were like, that's for tourists. We don't eat that stuff. So it was pretty interesting. It was a lot of fun, though. It was just a long day. Right. Yeah, we flew out at 6 in the morning and flew back at midnight. So running around just eating and we were only in the city for 6 hours. So we were eating for 6 hours. We weren't eating, then we were on our way to go eat. So it was a lot. It was a long day.
That's too much carbohydrates.
Yeah, man, it was a lot. But no, it's like Teddy's in Rome. Yeah, I mean they've won the most awards for Utica or for chicken Riggis.
Right.
And there's black olives in their chicken Riggis.
Right.
And you're not going to find black olives in any Riggis here in Syracuse.
I don't make my black olives as well.
You don't?
No. But as we spoke earlier.
Yeah.
And I learned the first guys I learned from to do Chicago pizza was really. Deep dish, Chicago deep dish was Pizzeria Uno. And they were a couple guys that worked there from the 80s. And then we just kind of refined and put a culinary flair to it.
Yeah.
But it's no different than my greens or my chicken Riggis. You'd have people say, well, these don't taste like the ones in Utica, or
right.
Your chicken Riggis, you don't have mushrooms in them. I said, well, I don't put mushrooms. Or some people don't even put heavy cream in them, and some just use hot cherry peppers and a marinara sauce.
Yeah.
So I looked at it always as, is it right or wrong, or do they taste good?
Yeah.
When I go to a place, if it tastes good, that's right. I don't care how they made it.
Yeah. Yeah, some of my favorite, I'd say like top 5 favorite chicken Riggis in town is the Brasserie, and they put banana peppers in theirs.
Right.
But it's good.
It gives it a whole different flavor.
Yeah. 317 Montgomery Street, he puts deep fried jalapenos, pickled jalapenos on his. Right. So everybody's different. But I don't know. I've learned over the years of posting on social media for Eat Local that everybody's got a different fucking flavor. Yeah, everybody has a different taste. And it's rare to post about something and say it's really good that everybody agrees on.
And Anthony, let's be realistic. Your palate may be different than mine. I may like a lot more spice than you do.
Yeah, for sure.
So you may go into a place that doesn't use a lot of spice or doesn't use spice at all in their Riggis.
Right.
And you're going like, these are terrible.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like them because they don't have spice, but I won't even eat them if they're not spicy.
Yeah.
I have to watch what I actually do for the normal consumer.
Oh, yeah.
What I personally like is totally different than what I actually sell, because what I sell, I think, is more along the lines of what people would want.
So we're doing a new video series where I ask a chef or an owner at a restaurant what their favorite dish is at a different restaurant. So it started Limp Lizard, then I went to Kasai Ramen, and then the chef at Kasai Ramen said, you got to go to the preserve, you got to try their chicken Milanese.
Right.
It was fucking awful. It was so bad. It was really bad. I don't mind saying that because I know that none of them listen to this podcast. But
Well, it's funny. It's probably the easiest dish to do. So I don't even know how they could have screwed that up.
We did go for lunch, so whatever. But it was just like it was way overcooked. The chicken was. It was really dense. Yeah. The risotto was really just cheesy rice.
But again, just as we talked about, being in the culinary field, some of the stuff, it's not necessarily, the actual how you put it together. It's making it properly.
Right.
Our dough, we make our own dough specifically for Chicago deep dish pizza.
Right.
It's totally different than New York. So if you're starting with a product that doesn't fit that description of what you're looking for, it's going to be hard. No different than if you're making chicken Riggis and you're overcooking the pasta.
Yeah.
You're using a lousy tomato to start with.
Right.
And these are things that can make your product to be bad.
Yeah.
From the start. So,
Does Chicago dough have to ferment as long as like New York style?
Not as much.
Not as much?
Not as much.
It's so dense? Is that why?
It stays dense.
Yeah.
And it gets that flakiness, as you noted before, that you're not getting out of a New York dough.
Right.
So people ask if we put liquid butter right in our dough.
Yeah.
So it's a little different of a dough to start with. So you're not going to have that same complex style of doughs, are completely different.
Yeah. So is it like one day? Will one day ferment, or do you have to go longer?
Oh yeah. We go less than that.
Yeah.
When we start panning it up, and then leave them up top of the oven to rise. We push them out a little bit, leave them again to rise. So there's a lot of work involved in it.
Yeah.
But the ending product is, like I said, it's a different product. You either like Chicago deep dish or you don't. Some people don't even like it.
Yeah. My wife doesn't really care for it too much, just because she doesn't want anything that heavy.
But I do get some people that said they wouldn't eat a deep dish or a Chicago deep dish and then end up really liking it.
Yeah.
And it may be because they've gotten used to eating like a Sicilian pizza here or something in Syracuse, that they never liked that density, and this has a whole different flavor in the dough.
Yeah.
Because what I find is that people actually like eating the crust on this pizza versus maybe on like a Sicilian or something, because it's a completely different flavor.
Yeah, for sure. I got really into making pizza at home during the first few months of the pandemic, and I bought one of the pizza steels, that you put in the oven, and I'd have that thing cranked up to 500 and then preheating for an hour.
Right.
And I would do a thin dough that would ferment for 3 or 4 days, and then I would make it. And it was a good pizza, but I always wanted to get like one of those portable uni or wood-fired ovens.
Right.
Gas-fired ovens.
Right.
Just to get up to 900 degrees and see what it would do with it. But it's addictive to try and get something like that perfected.
It takes a lot of, the New York style, we've been at it for years. We had Da Vinci's Pizza downtown, whereas now is Nick's Tomato Pie. That was ours.
Oh, is that where it was?
Back in the mid-90s.
Wow.
96 up through 2001, I think we were there. And very successful, built our other restaurant and nightclub out of it.
Okay.
But so that we already had. So when we went to open up, take the old Woody's and change it over, and really that happened due to COVID.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I'm working every day now. The other place I didn't really have to work that hard because we were serving chicken wings and tenders and slinging drinks.
Yeah.
It's a different mentality.
Yeah.
This I have a lot more passion for, but it takes a lot more work. And to get the staffing for it is, as you know, this day and age is, it's complicated to get people that really want to come in and do this. And I don't blame it. It's hard work.
Yeah, sure.
Kitchen, you have to really appreciate it. If you don't like this business, it's an ugly business to be in. Mm-hmm. It really is.
So when did you first get started, or how did you first get started in restaurants?
Well, I got started. Well, I did it when I was a kid in the 80s. Actually, my first job was Friendly's.
Oh, really?
So more corporate and stuff. So I like that fast pace because I was a make person, the ice cream guy in the window at Liverpool on 57. So it was a busy spot.
Yeah.
And you had to be fast. And we had a ball. One of my good friends to this day, we worked together in the window. So we had a ball. And it was almost like a comedy show because we kind of abused the customers and had fun with them at the same time serving them ice cream. And stayed with it and then worked at, without mentioning names, a local pizza shop in Liverpool, and then got out of it after a while. I didn't do it. It wasn't something I was I thought I would ever get back into.
Yeah.
And it just happened. Armory Square started coming around in the early 90s, and we're looking at a spot, and I go, you know what? That'd be a great spot for a shop. And now there was I guess you would call it a sports bar. I can't even remember the name. Across the street from me, I can't even remember the name of it.
There's the Hop Spot that's over there.
Oh, the Empire was below it, and then above it was
PJ Dorsey's.
PJ Dorsey.
PJ Dorsey's.
Dorsey's, yeah.
So with all that traffic kind of migrating to that side, and it was a little early on, but we took that spot and rehabbed it all, and it was an old bakery anyway.
Was it?
Yeah. If I recall, it was like an organic bakery. And she had closed, so it was kind of had the bones of being a restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to rehab it all, but it was a start of something. And when we moved down there, and the traffic started slowly but surely going to that side, and we had lines till 3, 4 in the morning.
Wow.
We used to call it the only place to get a slice of pizza and a fist fight to go.
You still can. You still can down at I like Nick's tomato pie. Every time I don't go in there often, but when I do, I always I'm like, why the fuck do I not come down here more often? But because really in downtown, that's the only place to get pizza.
Right.
I mean, you have to go up to James Street or down West Genesee Street to go to one of the OIPs.
Right.
If you're going to get a slice. And
there's nothing in Armory Square, I don't think.
No.
Correct?
There used to be, what was there? There used to be something.
Slices used to be down there years back.
Okay. There was something more.
There was something after that. I don't even recall what it was called, but it was on the other side. I think it was next to another bar. It was on Fayette Street, if I recall, which I think is now a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, that is a Chinese restaurant?
I think it's a Chinese restaurant.
Charlie's Pizza was there for like a month, and then they closed up. A pizza, you can go get pizza, but it's not a slice. It's great pizza, but if you just want either like a late night slice or just a quick slice to go, Nick's is the place. But I was going down there like a month ago, and I'd parked a block up, and I was walking down. I'm on the phone with my wife, and I looked down, and there's this homeless dude sitting outside, like literally right next to the door, just screaming his head off at no one. And I'm on the phone with my wife. She's like, "What's that noise?" It's like, that's where I was about to go for dinner.
I remember those days.
But yeah, that's pretty wild. So 96, I was talking to Karen from Possibilities about when they went in, and I forget what year it was.
She's been down there, I think, since the 80s.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that particular spot.
Yeah.
But I think she was over.
It used to be in the State Building?
Yeah.
Or over by there?
Right around there, yeah. So she's spent a lot of time down there.
Yeah. And to hear her talk about what Armory was back then, especially when they first moved in, it was like, factories and a bunch of empty buildings. It's wild for me to think how much Syracuse has changed just in the 6 years that I've been doing this. How much Armory Square in downtown has changed, but over the past not that long ago, 20, 30 years, 30 years, how much it's changed from hearing people's stories of what it used to be like.
Yeah, there's been, it's great because the residential has obviously increased down there.
Yeah.
My concerns are how many people are going to be able to support staying there with this pandemic going on. You're paying big rents and it's if you can't see people or service people, I guess it all depends on how friendly your landlords are.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to think of the biggest employers in Syracuse are, I think Upstate might be the biggest, and then it's SU, or it's that's 1 and 2,
Right.
and those are big salaries.
Yeah.
You're not working. You're not. I'm sure most of the jobs there have really big salaries, and
Right.
probably some of the millionaires are
Yeah.
people that live out in Fayetteville and whatnot, or out in the
Yeah.
suburb. But a lot of them live downtown. But there's so many. I mean, there's a lot more business down here.
Yeah.
Over the last year, I've noticed a big change in the people that I see walking around downtown Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
I feel silly saying this all the time, but it's like walking around. Like I see people walking around that I look and I'm like, I've seen you on a YouTube video. Like you belong in New York City, or you look like somebody from Los Angeles.
Right.
And these are people that are now living in downtown Syracuse, which is wild. It's changed a lot, since the pandemic. I know a lot of people moved to the area from downstate New York City and spots
Yeah.
like that, because it was cheaper, and now they can work anywhere.
It's funny you say that because I've met a few people that have moved back here
Yeah.
because of the pandemic, because they can work anywhere now.
Right.
I mean, they were forced to work out of their homes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people decided to move out of those. I've met plenty of people that moved out of New York City
Yeah.
to move up into these areas.
Yeah.
So,
It's cheaper.
yeah,
You can do your job anywhere for a lot of people.
right.
Yeah. All right. So you had Da Vinci's until '96, and then where did you go from there?
We opened up a nightclub, Velvet Underground,
Okay.
which is now
Was that Maxwell's?
and World Martini Bar.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we actually built World on the release of Velvet Underground, because the longevity in nightclubs is a few years. If you get 3-4 years out of them, sold it and then opened up World Martini Bar.
Okay.
And World was just a smaller version, a little more loungy,
Yeah.
controllable crowd. And then there was spots available on that whole strip, so I ended up opening up Anthony's Pasta Bar.
Okay.
And
That was all right in Hanover.
right in Hanover.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was busy. The only issue I was having is having to see I had twin daughters. And I wasn't spending any time with them because I literally had to work every day.
Yeah.
I couldn't take a night off because the day I'd say I'd take the night off, somebody was texting me or calling me. I got 10 people coming there. I got 15 people coming. You're going to be there, right? And what was I going to say? No, So it was great. And then me and a friend of mine decided, he wanted in. And I said, well, I don't want to do this restaurant thing. It's too much work. I said, let's change it. That's when we changed it to Maxwell. Me and my friend Peter, who owns it today. So we opened it up. We put a wood-fired oven in, and then we had the pub side. And he's doing well with it, just leaving it as basically an event room.
Yeah.
And I actually just spoke to him today.
So is Velvet and World Martini Bar on
Yeah.
the same space?
No, Velvet was where now Studio 54 was.
Oh, okay.
It was a really, we built a big Alice in Wonderland kind of nightclub. It had big velvet leopard skin and animal print furniture. And then we went antiquing and finding a bunch of, it's kind of similar to your chairs you have here, but with the antique arms and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And put them all in velvet animal prints and stuff.
Huh.
So it was really kind of, it was 99, 2000, and it
Yeah.
was kind of funky for Syracuse.
Yeah.
Very sexy. I mean,
Yeah.
it was hot. It was hot. It was a fun crowd. It was a big place, and it was a good mix of people because you could be 21 and 71. Nobody really saw the difference in clientele. If you go into some of these bars now, it's like, oh my God, everybody's cheers. I don't even think they're 21. So it's not even they're 31 or 41. They're just, I may have gotten older, but
Yeah.
these kids are young,
Yeah.
and they're all young. Well, this was a place, without mentioning names, they were all business owners and stuff. And that was a time when there was still a lot of these business owners out and going out, and
Yeah.
they were a little older. So they mixed into the crowd well.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Yeah. So Anthony's Pasta Bar, and then where from there?
After that, I took a little hiatus. I took kind of a couple years off, and I actually had a wine bar in Orlando.
Oh, really?
and
What was that like?
which was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I had a great spot right in the middle of the city of Orlando. A very good friend of mine actually owns it now from Syracuse, who lives in Orlando.
Oh, wow.
But what happened is I came here to Syracuse, kind of help out a buddy of mine with Woody's at the time, with licensing and stuff. I facilitate liquor licenses.
Yeah.
And I was helping him do some work because he was selling to someone, and then the deal fell through. And while I was working with him, I said, well, this seems easy enough. It's not going to be that hard. I don't really have to work. It's a drinking bar. I took it over, and it was all right. It was a little different than what I was used to, a little rougher than I was used to.
Woody's?
Yeah, so I spent some time cleaning up the crowd,
Yeah.
let's just say. And I did get it.
I've told these stories about Woody's on the podcast before, so feel free to say
Yeah,
whatever.
no, it was different than what, put it this way, it was the first time I've ever been hit with a bottle over the head. It took me plenty of years to get to that point.
That's hilarious.
I realize that's why I hire bouncers now.
Yeah.
But it was different than what I was used to. That's why I was saying it was kind of, we did get it going pretty well, and we were bringing bands in. We had the outdoor patio bar with music on the deck. We put a stage in the back. But by the time we kind of got it rolling, this COVID came into play.
Yeah.
And I spent that whole season being kind of closed. We tried to open as Woody's Takeout, but, under that label, nobody was...
Right.
How do you brand a place that, is basically known for getting drunk and picking somebody up and getting a fight in the parking lot?
Yeah. Or dragging somebody out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they allowed us to open in the summer with this summer patio bar, which we did pretty well because we were one of the few places that had an actual physical bar out on their patio in that area,
Oh, yeah.
as well as like the retreat does. So we did pretty well that summer. When fall came in, we had to shut down by 10 o'clock. And, there just wasn't enough, and that has a good-sized kitchen, a good-sized space. That, you have to generate some revenue to really pay for those bills to keep that place afloat on just booze when you're closing by 10.
Right.
It's not your normal little small neighborhood bar.
Yeah.
So in this fall, I think we got into September, and I was like, this is just not going to work. I said, we have to redo this, rebrand it as much as, my friend Tiger came back into town because of his mother getting ill, and he had to help her out, and he was in the pizza business with me, and he's like, why don't we bring this pizza thing? Because he wanted to do, people always ask us, where did you get the name Pump? Considering that once they know that I'm cooking, it's like, well, I don't understand. You do all this Italian food. Why is it Pump?
Right.
Originally, in Florida, and he was living in Florida, all the pizza is lousy. So we wanted to make pizza for the gas stations and supply at the stations, kind of like we have here in Syracuse, and they don't really do that there.
Yeah.
There's a couple places, your 7-Elevens, but it's lousy. So we're putting this kind of thing together where it was going to be called Pump Pizza into their gas stations. So that's kind of how the name came into play here. So, well, because I had something different in mind, a little more Italianate because we were going to put it in with thing. But I wasn't against it. I said, well, if you want to do it that way, I don't care, because I kind of was saying, like, I want you more involved in this. You do more of this pizza thing,
Yeah.
What happens is once we're in it, I'm a kind of an aggressive guy, so I'm like, okay, well, I got to work it now. We built an animal that I didn't expect to happen, and we're not finding the staff to fill my place. So that's why I end up working 7 days a week, or minimum 6. But that's where the name came into play and how the changes had to be made. And it's been good that we've made those changes because, when I go to work now, I can come out and talk to people and go, you know what, how do you like your food? Or how's everything over here? Where before, it was funny because one of my servers would say, you never came in and just talked to people when it was Woody's. I said, well, I really feel in. I didn't really have much in common with a guy that shows up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to get drunk. It's not my guys. How much respect? I mean, if you did it once in a while, I get it. But when you come every single day to get drunk at a bar, That's why I just went to back check on them and I'd leave, you know.
My favorite stories from Woody's were the one Tommy called me one. It was either like a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and he started by saying, "Listen, something might happen. You might see us get tagged on social media. Technically, nobody was murdered here at Woody's." I was like, "What?" And then,
Or his name was truly didn't happen in my place.
right, yeah. And then the other, and it was a fight that had started there, and then it did lead down 81
Yeah.
where they shot the guy on while he was
Yeah.
driving his fucking car on 81. And then I don't know if you remember the Duke basketball player Grayson Allen.
Yeah, of course.
So he was known for like flagrantly, intentionally
Doing the
tripping
kick
people.
and the kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they were playing Syracuse, when Duke was playing at Syracuse, I did, still to this day, my best social media thing ever. We did every time Grayson Allen tripped a player on SU, it was $1 shot.
Everybody was drunk then.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was, I think today that was like one of my spur of the moment. We put it out I thought of it like the day of.
Right,
and
right.
Yeah, Woody's was a wild place, man. I used to go in there and try and get pictures like, hey, I'll hang out and get pictures like during service one night. That was such a bad idea.
Yeah. What service?
Yeah.
It was like a Western.
Right. Yeah. I ran in. Well, there is one. I know Tommy doesn't listen to this, so I was in there one night.
Tommy, listen.
I was in there one night, and Tommy was cooking, and so I was hanging out like on that one side, on the other side of the fryer. Just hanging out, talking to Tommy. They were pretty busy, and I was just trying to get pictures of the food as he was right before. And he was over there, like taking cash for the orders, putting in his pocket. And I'm thinking to myself, is this what the life of a restaurant owner is? That you've got to sell the fucking wings, sell the wings to get the cash to pay yourself.
Yeah, right.
But I ran into Stacy not too long ago, over the summer, I think, at the Green Lakes, Brian's Landing. Or what's it
Yards.
called now?
Yards Grill.
Yeah. And I ran into Stacy, and Stacy was my first at Ole Ole was my first social media client 6 years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I started this with a partner of mine. We both worked at Metro Mattress during the day, and at that job, you worked 9 to 11 hours a day selling beds. You made a great living, but your job sucked because it was retail hours.
Right.
You'd sit there for 9, 10, 11 hours a day, and you might only work for an hour. You could make $1,000 a day, but you only worked for an hour. The rest of the time, you're sitting there, twiddling your thumb. So we started the social media business based on just being bored. And Stacy was our first client, our first restaurant client. Mm-hmm. So, and then we were with her until she sold to Lenny.
So you marketing Woody's as well, or just her at Ole?
About halfway through working with Stacy, I went over and started working with. I started working with Tommy. Yeah, and then when he sold to you, we stopped, and we were with the market. I was with Tony at the Market Diner for a while. Now, did you have a place with Tony?
Yeah, we were out in Fayetteville together.
Okay.
And me and Tony were going to do that together because we were buying out my buddy, and he had taken over the regional market.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting rid of that because our intentions were to do it together and stay there.
Okay.
We had a ball then.
Yeah.
That was when Tony was still partying.
Yeah.
He liked his Jack and Coke. Don't let anybody know that.
Tony's great. I've been with him, I think 5 years now doing his stuff, and back when I still smoked cigarettes, and back when he was in the diner every single day, I would go in there, and have breakfast, and then go for a meeting in the office, and sit there and, chain smoke cigarettes in that tiny little office, and drink coffee and and talk about social media numbers. It was like that was like the highlight of my week.
Right.
But Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine the restaurant industry back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I have to imagine it was probably a pretty amazing time to own a restaurant.
I think it, the one thing that you have today that you didn't have then was the social media.
Yeah.
So you were using New Times,
Yeah.
guerrilla marketing. Like I'm posting flyers on,
Yeah.
posts and
Right.
coffee shops, and I still remember putting bands in Fayetteville and going to your Wegmans and Price Choppers and the coffee shops and posting stuff on,
Yeah.
put
Bulletin
your
boards.
sandwich board outside. They wouldn't allow me to put I'm looking at, what is it, the Italian restaurant out there, the chain, Carrabba's.
Oh, yeah.
They got plants on top of their building with neon and stuff. And I'm allowed to put this little sign up that says Amore, So I'm getting a fight with the village.
Yeah.
Them telling me you can't put any more signage up because you're only allowed that. I said, well, when I look out my window, it looks like Vegas to the,
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, that's the town and you're the village. Well, they're a block away from me.
Right.
I said, I'm here. I'm living here. The money is spent here.
Yeah.
My staff spends their money here. That money goes back to Texas.
Yeah. Were they open that long ago,
Yeah.
Carrabba's?
So they opened up, and I would put a sandwich board on top of my car because then they can't say it was a sign. And I put it up. I remember it was my buddy Paulie Valentino from Primetime. I put my car up. I said, Primetime's playing here tonight.
Yeah.
So, and that was at that light. So people, it was my best form of marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't like we do today.
They're right.
As
Yeah.
much as people think, you had the internet, but it wasn't.
Yeah, for sure.
We had Facebook and
Yeah.
all these other outlets and this and
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very different. I mean, even from 5 years ago when I first started.
right.
I mean,
and this can be good and bad. I mean, you get
Yeah.
some people like let's be real. If you're argumentative,
right.
if you're a person that really takes a lot of stuff personal, I find myself, sometimes somebody says something and I have to keep my mouth shut. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to, I mean.
Then I have
yes.
to look at who the source is, and sometimes I'll
Right.
even look at that source. What do they know that I don't know?
Yeah.
And then I look at it as somebody that I really can't take that serious.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, people can be complete assholes on social media. The biggest thing that I've realized from it is that these are things that people were saying all along. It's just social media gives you the opportunity to hear them.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, listen, even like I said, five years ago when I started with Tony, we were advertising in the Post Standard every week and it was working.
Yeah.
Now today it wouldn't work.
I don't even know I think my parents are the only ones to get this.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I just saw it was like $5 something for a Sunday paper.
Oh yeah, it's expensive.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the less people are reading that and actually charging more.
I know. Yeah.
But,
I think I got it on Thanksgiving. It was over $10, I think, a paper. On Thanksgiving morning with all the Black Friday sales in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, it's changed a lot. I mean, listen, when I was doing that for Tony in the beginning, the Market Diner was one of the first to do Facebook ads in Syracuse for a restaurant.
Yeah.
Now everybody's doing them.
And I used to see that, and I used to say, like, Tony's out there.
Yeah.
He's getting his name out there. And I always gave that credit to Tony because Tony was always more a marketing guy, and
Right.
not only a really good chef, but he
Yeah.
really put his time in. He felt like he spent his money on the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
He's
He's definitely an owner who knows
Yeah.
where every penny is,
Yeah.
what it was going towards, every penny that's coming in. I mean, he's on top of it for sure. Yeah. It's pretty wild to see that. And then I meet some people who it's like, who trusted you with a fucking loan to open a restaurant?
Yeah.
Like who on earth let you out of your parents' house, and how are you now responsible for a fucking business?
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, I just ran into one of them today, and to hear them talk, it's like, dear God,
Yeah.
somebody gave you more than $100,000.
Well, and then they don't think they have to do anything. They put this money, and then all of a sudden they think they're going to be successful the day they open the door. it's like peeling an onion. When you open the doors, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. You may get business, but then you're constantly having to buy the food, put the staff together, pay for all the bills now that you're operating.
Right.
So it's a whole different thing when you're closed. You say, okay, well, until I get open, I'm just paying the rent and the utility bill.
Yeah.
Well, now you know, the floodgates open up when you know, and you've got to, perform.
Yeah. Every fucking day. Yeah, you
So-
don't get time off in that shit.
You know, and people ask, well, can you get a day off? I said, yeah, I can, but payroll is not cheap anymore. It's not like, it's gone up so high that I have to look at, can I afford to put the person there that night? I'm like, I'll just go in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I know it's being done right. So,
Right.
Right now I've got a nucleus of people that I can really trust that are doing a good job,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Right.
It's not like I've got a deep bench. There's no deep bench,
Right. What are some of the things you've seen change over the last, 30 years in the restaurant industry here?
Really, the social media stuff is
Yeah.
is important. That's really a lot of the changes, but now we're coming into a whole new phase of which this week obviously everybody knows that styrofoam is becoming obsolete. So
Yeah.
now we're supposed to be doing takeout. They want to push the takeout obviously because they want people getting together in restaurants. Let's just
Right.
say that's the what we're trying to do here in New York. Yet they haven't realized that there's a shortage of product.
Right.
And I'm not just feeling it; my suppliers are feeling it. I went to not even the local guys; I went national, and they're out of the stuff that we supposedly need here in New York.
Yeah.
So rather than I was talking about it to a supplier. He goes, "This should have never been done like this." He was told, basically the governor was saying, "It's like we've given you 2 years to get this right." Well, 2 years we've been in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I said, and now you're trying to, people are are tapped out or stretching out, and now you're putting products that are 2, possibly 3 times the amount of money to just put to take out.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's expensive.
we're already, the margins are already tight, and then you do this to us.
Yeah.
You know.
I gave Kristen the microphone tonight because Kristen waved for the slide camera.
Oh, yeah.
But so Kristen,
And she knows more about it than us.
right, exactly.
Because she's in the
'cause
trenches.
Kristen's having to argue with people every week to buy the shit.
Yeah.
To be able to sell it to you,
Right.
So Kristen works, for everybody listening and watching who doesn't know, Kristen works at Gerhar's Equipment, where I used to work, and one of her many, many, many responsibilities there is to try and secure product. Correct, Kristen?
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fucking expensive as shit. I mean, Carmelita's is a client,
Yeah.
and she was styrofoam all the way. And 2 months ago, she was saying to me, I don't know what I'm going to do. The next least expensive option is quadruple the price.
Yeah.
There is aluminum foil though that people can go to.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the type of food you're serving, but
It's not
you're
that
starting
expensive.
at double, triple
Yeah.
foam minimum.
So aluminum foil isn't as crazy as the other stuff.
You mean the containers, the aluminum foil containers?
Yeah.
or
Oh,
the
they're
actual-
crawling up too, though.
Like the rounds with like the plastic.
Right.
But a lot of owners complain because
Too hard
they
to work
want-
with.
Well, they want people to be able to put it in the microwave at home,
Right.
and obviously you can't with that. Tony had this issue in day one. I think they've solved it now, but when they first switched over, he was they're using like the nice biodegradable stuff, but they put hot meatloaf and mashed potatoes in it, and one thing with Tony is he was one of the first people on delivery apps around here, and they crush it with delivery apps. I mean,
Yeah.
fucking crush it.
Right.
And a guy ordered on Grubhub, ordered the meatloaf, and the compostable gets it home, and it's
Yeah.
a congealed mess.
Yeah.
I think that they figured out how to fix it, but now you got to add in a sheet of paper or aluminum foil sheet or something,
Yeah.
and add another cost onto it.
Right.
It's just crazy. I could not imagine being a restaurant owner today.
No, it's
Me either.
And she probably noticed now because that was my conversation with one of these suppliers today. He goes, it's not even that you can't get it. I can't even get it. He goes, I can ask for pallets of this stuff, but I'm not even going to get it.
Oh yeah.
Now they just send me what they got. It's not even what I'm asking for, but I'm hoping that even gets that. So he told me this 3 or 4 months ago because I went to see him to see what options are out there, just because we were kind of using our suppliers that service food. I'm like, maybe there's a different angle. Let's go right to the source here in Syracuse and see what options we have. And he at the time said, because I was looking for the white boxes.
Yeah.
I wanted the plain, because all the pizza boxes here have, best pizza in the world and
Right.
stuff. And I don't want it. I just want white boxes, put our label on it,
Yeah.
and send it. So we had to get that sourced out of the state from somebody else. So we were buying in bulk just so we had enough. And I figured he may have it. So we went to him, and he didn't even have them. But he was telling me in 3 months we're going to have real issues here. And he was absolutely right. When I went to see him today, it was like, I'm not going to get this stuff. I said, I'm being honest with you, I'm not even taking on new customers because I can't even service the ones I have.
Wow.
The only reason he even talked to me is I've done business with him over the 30 years.
Yeah.
So
That's nuts. Yeah. During the pandemic, I was told you I was making pizza all the fucking time, and like at least 2 nights a week I was making pizza, and I would always post pictures on my personal Facebook and Instagram. And we have this friend of the family who lives in Oklahoma. My dad, grew up in owned restaurants and all that shit.
Right.
So this woman would see me post pictures of the pizza and the bread, like I was baking sourdough bread and making like butter and all this,
Right.
Crazy shit. And I would post these pictures, and she would always comment, "You've got to open your own restaurant. It's in your family's blood. You'd be so good at it." And it would fucking piss me off because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I want to wish this on my worst enemy. Like, I couldn't think of a worse thing in life than being a restaurant owner.
yeah.
I mean, seriously, it sucks.
No.
Make no money.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you make money off
Yeah.
of it, which that's
Yeah.
extremely rare these
Yeah.
days. And you're met with, especially today, rising costs, limiting how you can do your
Yeah.
business, when you can do your business, trying to get customers in your door.
Right.
Especially right now, a lot of them are terrified to go out to eat.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah,
would
put
not
that
wanna
in
do it.
perspective. Like, before it was just get them to, now it's just get them to get them out of the house.
Right. Yeah.
There's people that have fear of this that,
Yeah.
you don't even think about who they are because, you'll find that your friend hasn't gone out in
Oh, yeah.
3 months because he's scared of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Which I get it. I mean, right before I came here tonight, we had a FaceTime with like my brothers and sisters, and we were supposed to go down to Kentucky for Christmas, like the day after, and one brother in New York City got COVID, and his family did.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a delay. We were supposed to go. Was going to fly out tomorrow or Wednesday, and then another brother in Kentucky got COVID, and his kids. So, it keeps getting
Yeah.
delayed, and COVID's bad right now.
Yeah,
People aren't seriously getting ill,
right.
but a lot of people.
Yeah, I
are
hear a
getting
lot
ill.
of people getting it.
Yeah. The issue is, in my opinion, who's going out to eat nowadays? I mean,
Yeah.
I went and got a grilled cheese with bacon today for lunch. It was $13.
Yeah,
Not everybody's going out to eat, I'm sure, as much as they used to
right.
because of pricing. And the ones that are probably people who make decent money. Husband and wife, they each make 60, 70,
But the
80
crazy
grand.
thing is get that thing delivered to you now. These guys,
Oh, yeah.
young people are on these sites and they're ordering food. The food's $10 and it costs them $30 to get them.
Oh, yeah,
That's
for
what
sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a different mentality.
It's
I'm
expensive.
Like, it's
Yeah.
one thing if there's a delivery fee in it, and my local Chinese restaurant and they deliver it. I give the guy $5. It's $20 worth of food.
Right.
He's 2 miles down the road. It's $5. Well, it's not the same when you put it up on one of these sites.
No.
As you know.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're on Grubhub, I mean, I should do a story on that. I think the cheapest you can get something food on Grubhub if you're getting like a meal,
Right.
$18,
Yeah.
$17 for like a sandwich.
Yeah.
You know? We're about to start doing. I'm trying to find like the cheapest places to eat around town, and I found a $2 cheeseburger in Pompey, which wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Tony at the diner's got breakfast for $2.99
Yeah.
before 7, I think.
I think he was $1.99 at one time too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we, COVID hit, so we had to raise
I was going to say. Even he said that. I gotta
Right.
raise it.
I'm trying to find. So right now, if that's the case on a Tuesday, I could take away tax and credit card fees. So if I pay with cash, I could get breakfast and lunch for $5
Right.
on a Tuesday. I'm trying to find like somebody who has like a $5 Tuesday dinner special, you know,
Right.
something, and then I could do a little blog on how to eat, how to eat in a day in Syracuse. Go out to eat for $10. And Syracuse.com. I swear to God, if you steal that fucking idea and write that article, they're already on my shit list. I don't know if any of them listen to it. Charlie Miller, if you're listening to this, don't do that article. But yeah, man, it's expensive. It's really fucking expensive. But my point was, people when they know COVID is surging, the people who have the disposable income,
Right.
who are spending the majority of money at restaurants, are also the ones that are thinking we should probably stay home more often.
Mm-hmm.
If COVID's rising, why go out to eat and risk it?
Right.
So I think that the issue right now is 2 years ago when this was happening and restaurants were closing because staff were getting COVID and all that kind of stuff, the message was support local. Don't forget about your local businesses and your local restaurants. Order takeout, get delivery, keep them. Nobody's saying that right now. Everybody's just saying COVID's rising. We're all scared,
Yeah.
And so there's just no corporate message of get out there and support local. It's important, more important now than ever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But we lost a lot of restaurants last year. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think if you changed the direction of some of your businesses, you could survive it. you know?
Yeah. This is, in my opinion, I don't think we lost enough. I would have liked to have seen more.
It's very cynical. I have to agree with you there.
There's some places that Three Lives in downtown
Yeah.
is a great, like, John, people were taking bets during the early days of the pandemic on how long before they closed. And that guy figured out a way to pivot and change and keep his business open. And today, I think, has one of the best restaurants in downtown in terms of experience and branding.
Mm-hmm.
Just phenomenal. And then there's other places that shut down forever, and I was surprised that there weren't more that, shut down. Really surprised.
Yeah, well, I remember he wanted to try to open
Yeah.
with the games.
Oh, yeah.
But then there was a kind of a similar kind of ideas he had. I think it was in Albany. They shut him down.
Yeah.
So he called us. I don't know if you know this. I did his license. I
Oh, did
facilitated
you?
his license.
Okay.
So I do state liquor licenses with another buddy of mine, and me and Brett did his, and he was calling Brett and like, what should we do?
That's wild.
Can we do this?
Yeah.
And fortunately enough, he didn't try to play the game because a couple places got shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that restaurant in Albany called him in.
yeah,
It was Three Lives opening night,
right.
and people were on Instagram, stories playing video games.
Yeah,
The barcade in Albany saw it, called the state, and said, "How come we can't have our video games, but Syracuse
Right.
can?" And so then the state liquor board called John and said, "You can't play video games."
right,
Yeah. And unfortunately, the liquor authority was the one calling all those shots back then.
right.
So you could get.
And that's
really
why you had to
fucked.
be scared. It wasn't. I may have taken a chance if it was local,
Right.
But when you screw around with New York State,
Yeah.
you know,
Your liquor license?
they hold your life.
Yeah.
You know, that license is how you make your living. You're done.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, look at
the
Adam.
places got closed over that.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You know, so
Look at Adam Weitzman. I mean, with his history, he couldn't get a liquor license. A restaurant in his name could not have a liquor license forever.
Mm-hmm.
It took him a shit ton of money to get that lifted. So, yeah, you could be really fucked.
or you just go into another state and do it
Yeah.
like smarter people did.
Yeah.
Like smart
Yeah, the
people.
smart people move out of New York. I mean, listen, I'm a far cry from needing to do this for tax purposes. 'Cause, I haven't figured out how to charge properly for my services. Having said that, I've been listening to these financial podcasts of these like content creators
Yeah.
that are making millions of dollars a year,
Right.
and they're all moving to Puerto Rico,
Right.
or Texas or Florida,
Right, yeah.
But the big ones are moving to Puerto Rico,
Right.
to just save a shit ton of money,
Right.
make their lives easier, instead of staying in New York.
Honey, we're moving.
Yeah. So, if you could do it all over again, do you think you'd, go this route of being in the restaurant industry?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. But the thing of it is every time you think you want to get out of it or you're out of it, it's if you like it, it's kind of one of those businesses that takes you over.
Yeah.
Because even when I was out of it, I was like, man, life is so easy.
Yeah.
But then you see something and you're like, I just love that spot, or
Yeah.
I'd love to do that there, and and then once you're in it, you go, holy shit, I can't believe I'm doing this again.
So, what years were you in Orlando with a restaurant?
16 through like 18. A couple
Okay.
years I was down there.
Yeah.
It's still there, and it's two people out of Syracuse that have it now.
Is it the same guy that I met, the meteorologist?
No, that's my buddy Rob. But
Rob, okay.
I had a buddy of mine that's from Syracuse that bought me out. But the girl who actually came to bartend for me was a Syracuse girl who came to
really?
management. So it was kind of weird because she came in for an interview when I wasn't there,
Huh.
and she was from Syracuse. She goes, she knows you from Syracuse. So she told me, it was like, yeah, well, tell her she's got the job. So she's now one of the owners with,
Oh, wow.
with my other buddy. And it was a great spot. In fact, it was such a good spot. The guy I sold it to, it's overlooking the amphitheater in the city proper,
Wow.
right? And if you were in Orlando City,
Yeah.
in fact, when they show Orlando City, they show Lake Eola, and I sit right there. In fact, when they show, I don't care if it's Black Lives Matters or any kind of those events where they're showing in Orlando,
Oh, yeah.
all the marchers, they're right in front of my bar.
Really?
So it was just a pavilion about the size of this room.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, it was for rent. We're like, this may be a great spot for just a little dessert and wine bar.
Huh.
And so we put a bunch of different beers and wines and some desserts and played some music, and it was kind of cool. But once I took this place over, I was like, I can't kind of be both places.
Yeah.
So I stayed here, and I sold that to kind of invest into this place. Would I do that again? No, I would have stayed in Orlando.
Yeah. I have
In
to
hindsight
imagine-
of what's happened in New York State, because it's a lot more free. My buddy
yeah,
Rob, who you
Orlando.
met, is
Yeah.
in Fort Myers, and he's like, nobody's wearing masks. We're all having a ball here.
Yeah.
He's sending me pictures, and
Yeah.
I like that kind of freedom.
Yeah.
This is kind of, I get frustrated because I'm a pretty healthy guy, so.
Yeah.
And I'm dealing with a brother-in-law. They may be even listening. He's a doctor in Italy.
wow.
He lives in Lake Como, but his practice is in Italy, and he was right in that part of Italy where it really got affected a lot. And he's personally gotten affected from
Wow.
COVID.
Yeah.
He's sustained a lot of respiratory issues from it. But at the same time, I'm not going to change my life just because I know somebody that's had issues with it.
Right.
Yeah,
I have friends that moved to Myrtle Beach just a few months ago, and they went down there. I think in the spring on a week vacation. Found this community that was being built, like this brand new suburb, housing prices were cheap.
Yeah.
And they bought a fucking house while they were down there and came back and, hey, we're moving. And they just moved into their house at Christmas time. It got finished being built. But, yeah, they were saying, like, nobody wears masks down here. Everything's just, like, it's not even a thing to talk about possible restrictions, you know?
And that's my frustration. Today, it was just today, I'm walking into my coffee shop that I go to every morning. I probably built one of their stores from what I've spent in the 20-something years they've been in business. And I had my mask down a little bit.
Yeah.
And the gentleman, who's the barista, young guy, asked me to put my mask over my nose. At the same time, every half hour, he's outside smoking cigarettes. In fact, he's not even behind the cafe bar because he's outside smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, you're worrying about me, but you're smoking a cigarette every 5 minutes here. So,
I mean, one of my favorite stories, and my wife was listening to this, who just recently told me that I pick on her too much in the podcast, but it's still one of my favorite stories, is like right after restaurants opened from the first COVID shutdown.
right.
We went downtown to Oh My Darling for dinner, and Anna, who's the general manager there, who I know, was there at the restaurant. And Rebecca and I had parked, like, it was the early days. Nobody was out anywhere, so we parked right in front. I walked from here to you to get into the door of the restaurant, and my mask was down under my nose. And my wife is giving me seriously a hard time, like, pull your mask up. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. It's fine. It doesn't matter. So as soon as we walk in, Anna's there. We haven't seen her in a few months. She's never met my wife before. My wife has no idea who Anna is.
Right.
But Anna gives me a big bear hug and then gives my wife a big bear hug. And I'm like, as soon as we sit down, I'm like, really? You're worried about my mask under my nose, but you just hug the stranger who you've never met before.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they are annoying.
I find it hard to, mostly in the restaurant business, mostly when we had to wear them and cooking in the kitchen.
I could not imagine.
And being around that kind of heat,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous.
You had to wear them at the yards over the summer, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, she was at the yards, on the line, and, fucking slammed. Restaurant just opened.
Right.
It's a destination for summertime, and it's the summertime, so they're crushed.
Right.
And it's like tiny back there, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too tiny.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine being in any kitchen wearing it all the time.
But it did. I will say this: as annoying as they can be, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Only for the fact of last January I had COVID for 2 days. I didn't know it at the time because the place I was working, where there was a mass exposure, they decided not to tell any of the staff that there was a mass exposure. And so I didn't know it, but I had been exposed to like a dozen people who had it.
Right.
So I had it, and I was in a meeting with 4 other restaurant owners sitting like in a space like this, but I, for some reason, just kept my mask on. None of them got COVID,
Right.
even though I already had it
Right.
at the time. So I'm okay with that. The things that piss me off about the masks are New York State. Now there's a new rule. You have to wear your mask indoors across the whole state.
Right.
So it scares the shit out of people. It scares the shit out of customers because they're saying, okay, if there's a mandate, then, like I was saying earlier, maybe we should stay home more often so they're not spending as much money as they might be. So there's that issue. Restaurant owners are saying, well, fuck, now I have to do a mask or I have to do this vaccination check. Am I going to get in trouble if I'm not wearing a mask?
Right.
And then the county and the state come out and say, we're not going to do anything about it if you're not wearing a mask.
Right.
It's a rule, you have to, but we're not going to do anything. It's just, those are the things that piss me off about it. And I'm not even really that affected by it.
Yeah.
It's just, I know what effects it has on people like you.
Yeah. Most people don't even want to come out because they have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have gotten vaccinated if it wasn't for them allowing us to not have to wear the mask while we were working.
Right.
I wouldn't have done it. Obviously, people are still getting COVID when they're vaccinated. So.
Yeah. My sister,
and I had gotten COVID.
Right.
So.
My sister in Nashville, she had COVID in July and then just got it again. So she's unvaccinated. But yeah, it's most people I know who've gotten it recently, they're not seriously ill.
Right.
You know, the worst I've heard is like it's like a flu for 2 days.
Right.
They're fine after that. You know, they're quarantined, but they're back. Life's back to normal.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people right now are losing smell and taste, at least of the
Yeah.
50 or so people I know.
Yeah, I
had
haven't
it.
heard. I've heard a lot more people getting it, but
Yeah.
it's been weak. It's
Right.
just
So that's
a couple days.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I'm going to go get the booster because I'm supposed to be teaching a video production course out at Casanova Community College this semester. And from what I understand, in order to be a student or faculty member there, you have to have your booster shot as well. So I'm going to go get that. I wasn't going to, but, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a crazy fucking time to be alive. Yeah. I couldn't imagine. I'd love to, when I think about the business in places like Florida, and I think it's great, but I fucking hate snakes and alligators and lizards, so I'm never going to live in those places.
Well, when we talk about what the difference is, I mean, it was just a lot more fun. I think we just had a lot more fun, and it wasn't that long ago. You're talking
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, the liberty of, a little more, I call it debauchery. I mean, people were having fun. People
Yeah.
were partying.
It's a very
And it wasn't,
different
now you're seeing everybody, you don't even see kids sometimes. They're just popping pills and staying home.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, people were drinking back then.
Yeah,
you know?
back then at least they came out to
Yeah, they drank.
get in
Now-
trouble. Now they just stay
Yeah,
home.
now they're coming out at 1 o'clock in the morning after pop pills or something. Or they're just staying home.
That's such a great
Yeah.
reason as to why the difference
You
over
know?
the last 20 years. They used to do it in public.
And probably you've got your dating sites, your Facebook, and you get consumed with that stuff. You're not really, it's easier hide behind the phone than
Yeah.
go meet somebody in
Yeah, for sure.
a bar or
Oh, yeah.
what have you.
I've had a client recently ask me, like, there's other marketing besides social media to do, but there really isn't anything that's effective today,
And it's probably what audience you're trying to reach. If you're trying to
Yeah.
reach 75-year-old people,
Yeah.
use a post standard.
Right. Yeah.
I think even my mother probably is still on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents have Facebook,
Everybody is, yeah.
and they're 85.
Right.
So.
So if you could snap your fingers today and move Pump Pizza to any state or any location, any city to operate in, do you think you'd go back to Florida?
Florida's too warm for me.
Is it?
Maybe the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Florida's hot.
Yeah.
Florida's good if financially you can live. Look at New York's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
It's just fiscally fucked up.
Right.
Let's be real.
It's expensive too.
I've traveled a lot in New York in the last 10 years because of doing facilitating
yeah.
licensing, I was telling you. So I've gotten to travel from Messina to the Hamptons, Montauk, and
Yeah.
Shelter Island, and all those areas. I've been up and down Long Island and the city and you can see the movement. I've been in Utica the last couple months. I probably did 8 restaurants in Utica, all Bostonian.
Wow.
So that Bleecker Street that used to be all Italian they're the new Italians.
Yeah.
They're buying up all that stuff and they're fixing them up.
Yeah.
So, it's beautiful here.
Yeah.
In certain times of the year, of
Right.
course. And if you like the snow, there's areas in New York that are real nice as well. I just don't like to ski, and
Yeah.
I played indoor soccer. I didn't ski. But that the opposite time of the year, you go to Florida, and
Right.
when you're getting that, maybe you're getting as low as 80s and
Yeah.
70s, and
Yeah,
that's
it'd be
nice.
nice.
But Orlando is miserable in the summer.
Really? Too hot.
Way too hot. Then there's people say, well, if you're next to the coast, it's a little cooler and stuff. Well, how cool does it get?
Yeah.
Rob, who does weather, sending me pictures, and it's 80-something degrees in Fort Myers. It's still hot to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Central Texas for a couple of years, and I visited California and everywhere from San Diego up north to Redding. And I was in Redding, California on the 4th of July when it was like 116 fucking degrees outside. I mean, it was awful. Just absolutely awful.
Like, I think you could handle the cold more than that kind of heat.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can at least bundle up and get warm.
Right. And I will say San Diego is gorgeous.
They say that's like the best weather in the country.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. The dead of summer, it's, 85 degrees, 86 degrees in the day and down to 70 at night.
Right.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. If you could snap your fingers and turn pump pizza into anything, you think you'd keep the same concept or would you change it to a different concept?
No, because I really actually believe in our concept. I think the one thing that we have going for us is that we're different than most pizza shops. Okay, because you can actually get food.
Yeah.
If a husband and wife want to order food for their kids, they can get a New York cheese pizza, even if they didn't want to do the deep dish. But they can actually come in and get a chicken franchise, or or a Milanese, or a veal dish, or because we do run specials.
Yeah.
So you're not going into a place that. Listen, I don't care where you go eat in this town. The one thing we have is the same thing as they've been doing for years because that's what I did.
Right.
I just brought it into a more casual environment.
Yeah. What's a place that you're going out to eat a lot?
I mean,
in all
I
your
don't
free
go
time.
out that much to eat because I'm always working. But when I did go, was able to get off, like I would go see Charlie Roman's place, Delmonico's, have a steak there because I think he does a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Brian that's there as the manager. He's, they're professional.
I haven't been there in years. I need to get there and check it out.
I just started going recently to Thai Village in the Village, Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
Which was the appetizer, and it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll go. I went to eat Indian food.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go to different places. Today, I went to get a banh mi sandwich on Butternut there in the corner.
Oh, that's the best. in
It's
town.
a great sandwich.
Yeah. That place
She
really
does a
is.
really good job.
Yeah.
And I was making it myself, but it wasn't sound that great because I taught myself how to do the same thing. I take apart the sandwich. I want to see what they do. I mean, I have an idea what they do.
Yeah.
She has a couple. She has more of an American version and a real, version. But they do a good job there.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy.
No,
can't
not
even
at
eat
all.
there now.
Right.
So,
Oh, you can't?
no, she can't even eat inside.
Oh, wow.
Took it home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
So
Theirs is good. So is the Vietnamese noodle house in North Syracuse. They make it kind of a good one. Up on Route 11.
Okay.
Almost like right that little.
It's in a plaza, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never had it there.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's more. You can tell it's like fresh jalapenos and stuff on it. For the spice. The one I call it Kai Dun, but a friend of mine who's Vietnamese told me it's pronounced Vang Dong. That place on Butternut, and I don't know. I think it's really fucking good there.
The one on the corner of Butternut?
Yeah.
That one that I went to.
Yeah. I used to play an illegal poker game right next door to it. Or now 2 doors. It was a church. It's in the same.
It's same.
Yeah.
It's attached to it, correct? Yeah.
And now I think it's a church, but
Yeah.
I think it was Fat Jamie ran that game, and I played there once. And I won like $600 or $700, and cashed out early. And I thought I was gonna get fucking shot because I cashed out early because I won.
Right.
I won pretty quickly, so I only sat at that table for like an hour. And I was like, "All right, I'm out of here."
Guys, I gotta go.
Yeah. I thought people were gonna fucking lose their mind, but I was like 21, 22 years old at that time. Really into playing poker. I was at the casino a couple nights a week and playing online and all that kind of stuff. And I went in there and there's dealers and there's a kitchen and they're serving food and all of a sudden some dude walks in with a duffel bag full of bootleg DVDs.
Right.
I mean, it was wild. And And I used to play an illegal game in the back of O'Day's up on Tip Hill.
All right.
And I played one week, had a really good time, and then the next week I decided not to go for some reason, and I got busted by the cops.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And everybody get out to Mattydale and check out Pump Pizza Pub.